Yo, what's up? Coming to you live from my respective locations and a day early. It is the Crossover Sports Podcast, episode 37. Yes, coming to y'all a day early because life is hitting us this weekend. We got retreats at our church's youth retreat, so we're a day early because we're all gonna be there, everybody. So yeah. So right now I'm rocking out with Trey and Amina. So Trey, go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
Uh, my name is, I go by many names. Clarence, Trey Money, Moneybags Trey. But most people know me as Trey. Uh, this podcast is going to be interesting, I think. Uh, just because we got some interesting topics on the list. But we'll probably sneak some draft talk in there somehow.
The third topic, bro. Go ahead, Amina.
Hi everyone, my name's Amina, Golden State Warriors fan. Just here, getting his topics knocked out the way, and it's draft night for the NBA. Excited.
You forgot part of the description and your fandom. She meant to say that I'm a Golden State Warriors bandwagon fan.
Not bandwagon, real life fan since middle school. Let's get that straight, okay? I will fight you. Don't make me find out where you work at or live at.
Inside jokes, people. All right. We're still going with that one, huh? Insiders from last week. But yes, guys, it's us again for you Matt fans. He will be here momentarily. But right now, we're gonna take off with our crossover hot takes. Those of you who are fans of the show already know what this is. Our crossover hot takes are topics that are not necessarily sports related. They could be pop culture, entertainment, political related. And then we get into the sports. So hold on if you listen to this for if you come here as a reprieve and you're not trying to hear all that. I ask that you hold on for a minute because as African Americans, we got to debrief after what happened this week. So prepare for some rants. So guys, we're going to have a moment. We got to talk about this. The verdict came in, and unsurprisingly to most people, the video wasn't enough, and the cop got off in the shooting of
As usual.
So I'll give y'all. So we all going to debrief, and let's try to keep it respectful. You know. So go ahead, Trey.
I like you said, it unsurprisingly, the police officer got off. And then the aftermath. I don't know if these videos were out beforehand or afterwards. The video that most people saw when this happened last summer. I mean, I remember seeing the video. You know, you see the video on the Facebook Live video of the girlfriend in the front, you know, in the driver's seat, and the boy, Philando, is in the passenger seat bleeding out, and the cop is still holding the gun on him. His little 4-year-old daughter is in the back of the car. In the aftermath of all this, his girlfriend or wife, I'm not sure if they were married or not, gets arrested. Fiance, right? And I believe she gets arrested, right? And she's in the police car with her daughter. And now this video's come out of her daughter saying, mommy, don't overreact or whatever. I don't want you to get shooted. And I mean, and watching that video, I was just like, I mean, what, like a 4-year-old little girl? Why does a 4-year-old little girl have to go through that? First of all, seeing her father, being shot, shot at point blank range, by a police officer, and now she thinks, her mother's going to go to jail because her mother's in handcuffs. So first of all, Philando gets shot when he should not have gotten shot, and now he's dead. Right now, this fiance has to deal with the fact that her fiance or what's his? Do we know her name? Um, Philando's fiance. What is her name?
I forgot her name.
Diamond Reynolds.
Yeah, that's her name.
Diamond. Okay, so Diamond, Philando's fiance, she's got to deal with the fact that her fiance, her husband to be, is now dead, and now you have this daughter who's going to be fatherless for, let's say she lives to be 80 years old. She's going to live without her father for the next 76 years or 75 years, right? Um, and now, a year later, the police officer gets off. Another video, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but another video shows, I guess, dash cam footage of what happens, and you see it's about, I'd say, an 8 or 9 minute long video, and probably about halfway through is where you see the police officer actually shoot Philando, and then you have the other officer that's on the other side of the car. I mean, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, I couldn't even. I was at work on my break, and I saw it on Facebook, and I mean, I couldn't even finish watching the video. I literally just closed out the Facebook application and locked my phone and got up and went to the bathroom. I was like, I can't. I mean, I couldn't even look at it. I'm like, that's just tragic. And the fact that he got off, and what's been going around social media is this other story about this man, I believe a black man, young black man who gets 45 years in prison for shooting a police dog. And it's like, okay, how's a dog's life worth more than a human being? Regardless, I don't know. We don't know what Philando said to the police officer. Regardless of what Philando said, there was no reason for that police officer to pull out his gun and shoot him, 3 times? So it's tragic, but it's not surprising, It's what was expected of our justice system, is that for all intents and purposes, black lives don't really matter, or at least in comparison to other cases, they matter less than even dogs for some odd reason. And it also speaks truth to the idea, white and black cops, that in many ways they are untouchable by the law, which is also very very tragic, and it's very ironic because they're the ones who are supposed to protect and uphold the law. Yet, many times it seems that they're above the law. So you can't uphold the law and be above the law. It just doesn't add up, and it's tragic that consistently we see things like where a police officer, and in all of these cases, a white police officer has shot and killed a black man, and they get off with murder.
Floor is yours. The floor is yours, Ms. Muhammad. Go ahead.
Do y'all hear me?
Yep, you're good. Go ahead.
All right, okay, this is usual. I mean, it's becoming a skit. If y'all realize the skit is the same thing with this, they're not all the same cases, but it's the same skit. The exact same thing happens all the time. And then it's like things die down after a few cases, and then it happens again. So I've gotten immune to it. It's to be expected. This is not a country that favors black people, at least for the last 500 years. I mean, police officers originated with the bounty hunters for runaway slaves. That's how they got started. To expect justice to come from a courtroom and a jury, a law for melanated people, if anyone expects that, they've bumped their head and lost their mind. The court system is not designed for us. I mean, majority of the prisons, no matter whether they're public or private, maximum security, low security, they're mostly populated with men of color. This country is not designed for us. It's designed to better and further along everyone else. Everyone benefits from the so-called American dream except for black people. It's to be expected. We're never going to receive justice at the hands of the law. Now, what's going to have to take happen is we're going to have to take justice in our own hands and do what the Bible says: an eye for an eye, a sword for every sword. Malcolm X once said when he was alive, if they take one of us out, if they take one of us to the hospital, take two of theirs to the morgue. Retaliation. I mean, we're not going to receive justice from a courtroom, so we might as well take it into our own hands. And Philando Castile, I've been not on a regular basis, but on and off since it happened last summer. I mean, that man was loved by children. He fed children in the state he lived in the school system, in the cafeterias. I think one of the last jobs or the last job he had, he knew every student's name in the school. He knew all of their allergies. He knew all of their food diets. That takes a special person to memorize all that information for a few hundred students. They loved him. They drew pictures for him after he was murdered and everything. And it's crazy. I mean, his daughter, like, would never know her dad. She was at the point in her life where memories would have been started being made between her and her dad, but she would never have him to walk down the aisle when she gets married to a husband. He would never be there for any graduation ceremonies, no prom send-offs, nothing. School trips, to be a chaperone. He would never be there. It's ridiculous. The system is not designed for us. Nothing in America is designed for us. From the law enforcement to the education to the food, the water, everything is put against us. If you realize we may be the first people that were here in the universe, but we're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to everything else. When you talk about a collective effort, we have nothing as a people. We were more productive as a people the first 75 years after the Civil War. And that ended up until 1940 when the Civil Rights Movement came. We have nothing to show for as a people, and all the time, on a regular basis, a black man, black woman, black child was murdered by the cops. They just had out there in Seattle a mental patient. She was diagnosed with, I forgot what she was diagnosed with, but she had mental disorders. A pregnant black sister, pregnant. I don't know far along she was, but she called the police needing help. They got there and shot and killed her. Now, her baby that she was pregnant with died. Shot, murdered. I don't know what's going to go on with the case because it's recent, but I'm expecting it to be a not guilty verdict because of the color of her skin. But she leaves behind her children that were already here. So not only, they lost their mother, but they lost their unborn sibling. We can't keep expecting justice in this system that was never designed for us. A system that was never built for us is never going to work for us. We got to build our own. The Amish, Mennonites, the Mormons, the Hasidic Jews, they don't rely on America's judicial system. They have their own court systems, their own currencies, their own system of government. We got to establish our own, just like them. They don't depend on America for anything, and they live in America. It was to be expected. I mean, even with Mike Brown that was killed Ferguson 3 summers ago, I believe his parents are getting $75,000 in a settlement. I don't. That was one settlement. I think they're getting punitive damages as well. But $75,000. But this couple's dog was shot by a cop, and they about to get nearly 2 million. No, $2 million, I believe they're about to get, or something. So a dog in America is worth more than a black life. And that's a known fact. So why are we expecting justice from a system that a canine has more value financially and otherwise than us? Doesn't make any sense. I have zero faith in this system. I don't put my faith in it. I put my faith in God. This system is not built for us. The system is designed to be against us. Anytime a black man's life is worth tremendously less than a dog in this country, no. $75,000 compared to multi-million-dollar settlement for a dead dog. I don't think so. But some of our people still think that this country is for them. It's not. This is not Obama's America anymore. Obama is gone. He's history. He doesn't exist anymore. This is Trump's America, and people need to wake up and realize that it's a new sheriff in town. And that's what I got to say about that portion.
Listen, I've stayed relatively quiet on Philando since he unfortunately passed last year, and the reason why I say quiet is I'm done with it. It's like every year somebody different, somebody getting shot by a cop, some useless stuff that shouldn't have been happened, and it's the same defense every time. Oh, I smell weed. Oh, he was like the reincarnation of the Black Hawk. That's why I shot him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she came at me wrong, so I shot her. She did this, she did that. I heard it looked like she was going for a knife, so I shot her. I can't with the defenses and the excuses anymore. 2 videos weren't enough to convict this man. And the dash cam video is worse than the actual video shot by the fiance. That's how bad it is. How can you, the real question, it isn't even the system. At this point, it's not the system, because the system didn't acquit him. It was a jury that acquitted him.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't even worried about the system anymore. The system is the system. I'm worried about these damn juries. That's what I'm worried about. I don't understand how people who, whatever they were, the making of these juries or whatever they were, I'm not even worried about the system anymore. It's time to tackle these juries, because there's something wrong when you got 2 definitive videos that nobody altered, nobody did anything. The cop even said, listen, I was giddy, I smell weed, I shot him. How can you look at those 2 videos of this man getting shot and then say, you know what, I understand, he smelled like weed, he deserved to be shot? Because that's basically what you say at every time you acquit these people, right? And to be this point, it's not even about the system anymore. You know what we need? We don't need these. We need the type of people we need, and the movies coming out about this man, and it's somebody we don't really talk about. We need some Thurgood Marshalls. That's what we need. We need some Thurgood Marshalls. We need some people like him, people who are able to outthink and work within the system to make it to their benefit. Because this whole outside perspective, this whole thinking within the system, thinking justice, to her point, it ain't working. So we got one of 2 options. Either we're gonna work within the system, we all gonna get educated, we all gonna put down our stereotypes, we all gonna stop having babies early, we all gonna stop smoking the weed, we all gonna stop doing anything, get some degrees and work within the system, or we taking our money out. It's really only 2 options.
Mm-hmm.
We either crash the system by taking our money out, or we working within it. And black people need to make up their minds what we doing. So, we can't be doing this no more.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna give us the system. So you know what funds the system? Our dollars. Take our trillions of dollars out and see, don't they change them? Like I can't even. Like it's not even. This man worked what you say, 2 or 3 jobs, and you
In the
know,
school system over there, he's serving the children meals every
right.
day.
So he worked like 2 or 3 jobs. He also served food in a hospital. So he worked 2 or 3 jobs, food services.
Mm-hmm.
By all accounts, a community man. The mother said he loved Minnesota and Minnesota failed him. So how can you, as a jury, right, see these videos that you've been privileged to? Again, and I keep saying this, I don't know the makeup of the jury because I don't live in Minnesota, right? But to our black men, light skin, fair skin, colloquial, whatever, this goes to show y'all that we are all as black men, we are all one bad traffic stop away from going to meet God. And if that don't change your perspective on how you do things, if that don't get you straight, if that don't tell you, well, Dad, if I got kids, it's time to meet them. You have to realize that you are one bad cop, and this is not all cops. You are one bad interaction with a cop, with a giddy cop, from going back home to the Lord. That's what you are. So at this point, like I said, and I've been at this point since Mike Brown got shot, and both Trey and Amina can tell you this, is we either taking our money out, and I know it's going to take some effort because we love our sneakers, we love our food, we love our hair,
Sacrifice.
we do all that stuff, right? I know it's big. I know it's big, but we gotta do something because it's not even like I'm not even at the system. I'm tackling it at the smallest level. The only way we actually gonna tackle this system to get the system to change is they got to do something with these juries. I don't even know. I don't know how they select them. We got to do something with these juries. We got to put these people on Front Street. We got to be able to do something. I ain't saying threaten them, but we got to be able to do something to make these juries see that whatever they think, we got to find a way to get to because if we tackle it from the jury, that's where I'm at. Because, it wasn't even the judge that acquitted the man. It was the jury that said not guilty. Right? See, we tackle this from the wrong perspective. We want to tackle the cops. We want to tackle body cams. They gave us more body cams, and it didn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, want to change something? Change the jury. Either take your money out, or start lobbying your congressperson and everything else to make these juries more something. Something's got to change. We either got to put these jurors out on Front Street for what they did. We got to know everything about them because it's ridiculous that these 10, 12, 13, 15, however many jurors it was, can look at these videos and say, not guilty. I'm sure these people got black coworkers. They probably got black neighbors. And, it's just ridiculous. Trevor Noah said it best, man. It's not even. So we've been saying for a while, okay, just give us the video, right? If they give us the video, there's undocumented proof, they'll have to convict them. So many African Americans, I've heard so many black people say that, right? All we need is some video. If we get some video, they have to convict them. And this is the perfect case. He was obedient. He did everything that people that love, that think cops can do no wrong, that look at cops the way blind parents look at their bad behind children, right? Right? Like people that look at cops like parents look at their bad kids, right? That think the cops can do no wrong, right? You saw the dash cam video. The man was obeying. He said, "Listen, I have a legal firearm, and I'm about to tear into the NRA too. We got a legal firearm. I'm gonna get my stuff." And then you saw the dash cam video. From the cop's perspective, it looked like he was going for the gun, and that's what started it. Then in his testimony, he tried to blame it on the smell of weed, which, by the way, with the way this country is moving, even though there is a new sheriff in town, weed is still, whether you agree or not, it's still slowly becoming legal in each and every state. So that's not even a crime anymore, depending on what state you're in. So that's another thing, but that's not even the smallest thing right now. I know I'm going on a rant, so I'm gonna shut up in a minute. But like for real though, like, and shame on the NRA too, because this man was a legal gun owner, right? And the NRA says everybody got the right to bear arms. Where you at, NRA? Like it's a shame because any other time when it's a school shooting or something, they be on the front line saying, "Don't blame the gun, blame the mental illness, blame this and that." But yeah, we got a cop's gun shooting a man for, I guess, not complying fast enough, right? Or looking like he was going for a gun,
But
right?
what you gotta
And
but what you gotta
mad,
go ahead.
mad silence from the NRA.
But
Shame on you, NRA. Hold up. My black gun owners that listen to this podcast, time to get out. Time to stop paying you. Get out of that too, because they're gonna be silent when it happens to you too.
what you gotta understand is that it's laws on the books for black people and it's laws on the books for white people. And what you have to understand is that during slavery, the Three-Fifths Compromise was established that's still in the books that stated that blacks and Indians are only three-fifths of a human being and two-fifths beast, animal. We have no real legal rights in this country as black people. If you're a black person and your ancestors were down south or in the Caribbean as slaves, if you're a descendant of slaves in the Western Hemisphere, you have no rights in America. What we have are privileges as black people. And that's why when things go down, a black person and a white person get charged with the exact same thing, but the white person gets away with it, but the black person gets the key thrown away and they get thrown in jail for the rest of their life. White people have the rights in the country. We don't have any rights. We have the privileges. So the right to bear arms that applies to white people, that doesn't apply to us. That's the law that was put on books for them. When that law was made, or in the Constitution or whatever, we were still slaves, sharecroppers. That stuff didn't apply to us. No black person was there drafting, signing, ratifying, or anything concerning these documents that people hold close to their heart. They don't apply to us. We have to make our own system of government. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take dedication. It's going to take commitment. We're going to have to come out of America's system. America's system was never designed for us. This is for white people. Their right to bear arms, it does not apply to black people. Nowhere in those documents does anything apply to black people. When it says all men are created equal, that was made when we was picking cotton in the 1700s. That was not designed. That was not made for us. As soon as the masses of black people wake up and realize that none of this stuff is for us, we'll be better off. But unfortunately, it's only a few of us, including myself, that know that and have known that all their life. The right to bear arms does not apply to a black person in this country. So you can go get your gun, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't apply to you. You're not white. You have to live your life like a black person if you're black. You can't be trying to be a white person. And that's how I don't know how else to say it, but it's two different things going on. It's a black America and it's a white America. And the two will never be able to intertwine. They will forever be two different worlds. That stand your ground laws, all that, none of that stuff applies to us. That's for them.
Ray, you got anything? You got anything to add?
No, not really. If I go any further, I'm just going to get angry.
Yeah, I know. Walking that fine line. So we're gonna move on. But to shut it down, y'all just gotta. When Matt comes, maybe I'll let him de-stress too. But we gotta. Man, we just gotta listen. Y'all gotta. For the young people, I'm talking to us 18 to 35-year-olds because all of our parents are boomers, so it's not worth that one. But it's time for us to start doing implying some knowledge to the younger generation. 18 to 35-year-olds, get your degrees, get your diplomas, It's time to start. It's time to start doing something. It's time to start imparting knowledge. Because I work in the schools and I see so many angry kids, and I work in the K through 8, and it's even worse at high school. So we got to start doing something. We got to start imparting some knowledge on our young people who are mad, because some of them come up in fatherless homes. Some of them, are rotted by leftover system from what Amina talked about from our prison industrial complex because their dads are either in jail or they're not in their lives because they're running the streets doing whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So it falls to us, the 18 to 35-year-olds, those of us who come from a little bit more of a better background by the grace of God and everything else. We got to do something. We got to do mentorship. We got to pick. I ain't saying you got to be like the Black Mother Teresa. I'm just saying pick one mentor. Something as simple as we all had that one old head that wasn't in our family, but that kept us straight. Be that person. Be that person because a lot of people don't have that. We got to be that person now. We got to make sure that it stops, man. Our generation, they blame us for killing something, but the one thing I do want to kill? I want to kill this prison industrial complex. So
break it up.
If that starts with each of us doing one, and I can start with this platform. I know it's a small podcast, but if you learn nothing else from this, whether you're black, white, or whatever, the one thing we can all do, because I know we talked about tearing down the system, so the one thing we can all do is take a young person, and this is something that you can do at 18 or younger, take somebody from your neighborhood that you got a rapport with, and mentor them. And it could be something as simple as, I'll take you to the corner store and get you some chips. I'm not saying you gotta go above and beyond. Check in on them. Take them places. But check in on their grades. Everybody needs that. Do something. Because it starts with us, and I think that's the one thing we gotta do. And I think that's it. And as far as we just gotta, the big thing is we got a decision to make. Are we working within the system? And that requires us all most of us getting educated and doing what we can using our platform to change the system, or we just gonna do the long-term strategy, which is, come together. Maybe we need we just all gonna just stop shopping, only buy the necessities or crash the system. That's really the only two options: either mentorship and education, or take money out. That's really the only thing. And for real, Amazon's helping a lot of y'all do that because Amazon's taking out everything. So, just start with that. So moving on to the sports to de-stress from that. Is Phil Jackson, y'all, really that stupid? And to some of y'all that don't know what I mean, it came out today, and I wrote an article about it. Shameless plug. It's time. The article that I wrote is called "It's Time for a Zen Exit." I know, clever, right? but is it time for that dumpster fire in New York? Is it time for the Knicks to come out from under their dictator, for lack of a better term? Go ahead, Trey.
Oh my goodness, Phil Jackson, what are you doing? I heard, I guess the rumors came out Tuesday night or sometime Wednesday that Phil Jackson would trade Porzingis, if the right trade came along. And it's just like, what? I mean, like, why? He's been there for 2 years, right? He's the future of your franchise. He's the best thing to come to New York since Carmelo came. And, I mean, Carmelo coming to New York hasn't really panned out. So you could probably say he's the greatest thing to come to New York. I mean, in 40, 50 years. So, well, I won't say 40, 50 years. I'll go back to Patrick Ewing. He's the greatest thing since Patrick Ewing. And Phil Jackson says, I want to trade, I would trade him. And it's just like, what? What are you doing, Phil? And I mean, I don't know. Like, he confused me with the Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah trade. He's confusing me now with this whole Porzingis thing. He's definitely confused me with the whole Carmelo Anthony debacle. And I'm just like, what are the Knicks doing? What are the Knicks doing? I don't think that Phil Jackson is this stupid. Phil Jackson has championship pedigree to the nth degree, right? He did a great job coaching the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers. I think Phil Jackson and what's his name? What's their owner? I can't think of his name. Whatever. Whoever hired Phil Jackson kind of overestimated Phil Jackson's ability to work in the front office. I think what needs to happen is that Phil Jackson is the coach, right? He's the head coach, and he's simply that, right? He has some say in trades and all that type of thing, but when it comes down to it, the owner or whoever else, the president of basketball operations, can kind of veto. If they say, no, I don't want to trade Porzingis, they can go ahead and veto that. I think Phil just needs to go back to being, go back to coaching, because that's where he had his most success. I think the Knicks are something like 90 and 171 or something like that in the last 3 years or whatever. They haven't made the playoffs in the last, I want to say, 6 years. And you thought that Phil Jackson coming to the Knicks would have kind of brought the Knicks back, but it hasn't. But like I said, I don't think Phil Jackson is this stupid. I think Phil Jackson is just not necessarily fit for the front office, and he needs to go back to coaching, do what he does best, running the triangle. If he wants to see, the thing is, what Phil Jackson wants to do is run the triangle, right? And he doesn't really have the players to do it, and he's trying to find players that fit in the triangle because he wants to run the triangle. And I have no problem with that. He just tonight they drafted the point guard, Frank Ntilikina, or however you pronounce his last name, from Paris. He fits perfectly into a triangle offense. He's not a 1, he's not a 2. He's really athletic, great court vision, can shoot. That's really what you want at your point guard position. Right now, what Phil Jackson has is a bunch of players who don't really fit into the triangle offense, and they really don't want to play in the triangle offense. So what Phil Jackson needs is a team of players that would want to play in the triangle offense, and I don't really think that he's going to find that, to be honest with you. But again, for the third time, I do not think Phil Jackson is stupid. I think Phil Jackson is an old head who wants to use the triangle offense. And in the NBA, it kind of works. But like I said, you got to have the players for the triangle offense to work. And in order to do that now, the players already be there. I mean, Phil Jackson is not going to be able to build a team of players that fit into the triangle offense. And then, because players are not really taught to play the triangle offense anymore. You used to. I was a more old school coach, so he taught us the triangle offense. But these kids coming into the NBA, from college, especially these one and done kids, and these AAU kids, they don't know what the triangle offense. That's a relic to them. That's antique. All they know is fast break, shoot threes, play defense. the fundamentals. But play defense, run up and down the court, shoot threes, dunk the ball, protect the ball. If you got the ball, protect it. Don't let the other team get it. That's it. They ain't really teaching these kids to play triangle. And if Phil Jackson thinks, I don't think it's stupid. I think what Phil Jackson just needs to do is go back to coaching and find a team that is at least 75% there in terms of players who would fit well into a triangle offense. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that in New York. Even if you go back to the Lakers, he kind of ran a triangle offense, but that was because of the presence of Derek Fisher, and it was kind of like a loose triangle offense. And if he wants to run the triangle offense now, especially now, he's going to have to run a more loose, updated version of the triangle offense. You're not going to be able to run the old triangle offense from way back in the day that he ran with the Bulls. So that's just how it is. I don't think he's stupid. I think he's a little bit hard-headed, and he's an old head who wants to run an offense that most, if not all, players nowadays are not taught to play in high school, college, or even in the pros.
All right, Matt's in the game. All right, Matt, we're on Phil Jackson. Whether he is that stupid, I'm gonna come to you last to give you some time. So go ahead, Amina.
I agree with everything he said. I ain't got nothing much to say. He said it all. From what I think.
All right, go ahead, Matt. Then, Matt.
Alrighty then. Let's see what we got here. New York Knickerbockers again. This should be fun. Hilarious. The dumpster fire that is the National Basketball Association. Emails will along with the Sacramento Kings and others. Look.
He's funny.
Look, let's put this one right. The first things first. Why? Let's start from the beginning. Why is Phil Jackson running the New York Knickerbockers? Please explain this to me. Why is this man running this dumpster fire of an organization knowing full darn well?
We don't know.
Knowing full darn well you have an owner that even don't know what he's doing. Okay, let's really start there. Okay, what was it? What was it? Poor Phil Jackson. Is he that stupid? I'm not going to say he's that stupid. He's a very intelligent man. He knows his basketball. He knows his stuff. The decisions that he's making right now is questionable at best right now. The goal is you want to build your organization around someone. In this case, your last year's draft pick should be an indicator. I mean, should shock me. I mean, like, okay. Porzingis played pretty well. I mean, and now you don't know. Now you want to give him away. You don't lost your mind. And thanks Sixers for letting me know y'all took Markelle Fultz the first round. I knew you were smart. See, at least the Sixers know what they were doing, okay? But the fact of the matter remains simple. I don't know about this draft. I don't know if... I hope Phil Jackson makes the best decision, which I highly doubt. I really do believe the New York Knicks need a general manager, an actual general manager that knows what he's doing as far as salary cap goes, drafting, building, having the right chemistry for said team, having the right right coaching for the team and everything else. It is a mess. It is a dumpster fire. It has been a dumpster fire for quite some time. Even when Isaiah Thomas tried to run that show, we saw how that ran. Okay. So with that being said, there has to be some type of stability in that franchise. This franchise has been around since the beginning of the National Basketball Association, when it's been the BBA, okay? This team has no excuse of being this and that. Never mind the court, on the court, it's the management is just that and that. And you taking one of the most historic basketball franchises in the history of the NBA and making it into a laughingstock. It should not be. It just should not be. And we talked about this in this podcast before, about the fact that the New York Knickerbockers just can't seem to get out of its own way. Carmelo Anthony to this. So, Phil's a smart man. Don't get me wrong. But Dolan should just sell the team and just be happy with it. Be content. Be cool. Go somewhere else. And give it to someone who knows and understands New York basketball. Because this is a joke, and I'm not laughing.
Oh, listen, man, listen. I'm going to try and keep this short so we can let Matt do his thing. And this is going to be familiar to him on the Philando Castile in 2 minutes or less. I'm going to try and be short on this response with Phil. But yes, yeah, so Matt and Trey went on his soliloquy about it. Yes, he really did sum it up really well. Yeah, man, Phil Jackson is a very smart man and everything, but you know, he is a prime example of what happens when smart men let their egos get in the way of something, right? Now let's go back. Let's fast forward a month ago, right? Now Phil Jackson is upset because his 21-year-old basketball prodigy would rather ride his bike in Central Park than meet with Phil Jackson for his exit interview. Well, Phil Jackson, you shouldn't be offended because it serves you right. I mean, look at how you treated your star player, Carmelo Anthony. You rode him like a dog. Like people treat their dogs better than you treated Carmelo Anthony this whole year. Like you treated that man like you're wasting money on him being on your roster. When it was, let me think. Who was it that re-signed Carmelo Anthony and got him to New York? Oh, that's right. It was you, Phil. So what? What, your ego getting the better of you, man? You know, no one else was stupid enough to give him a no trade clause. That was you. So your ego got in the way of that, and now you're gonna have Carmelo Anthony until next year. So now, what does Mr. Jackson do? In a brilliant idea that only somehow in the recesses of his mind, he says, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna mess with my bread and butter, the future of my franchise. The only good thing I did right in these 3 years since I've been the owner of the Knicks, right? Or not the owner, the president of basketball operations, right? I'm gonna mess with Kristaps Porzingis. Then I'm going to confirm it to the world that I'm looking to be stupid enough to trade." Now let me just say this: Phil Jackson is not stupid. He is a stupid executive, though. This is a man that traded Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith and did the Cavs a solid, and traded them for nothing to the Cavaliers. Also traded Tyson Chandler for nothing to the Suns. So this is a man that makes stupid moves, right? And so, you know, that's what it is. Stupid is as stupid does, man. You know, he's mistreating players. You know, it serves the Knicks right? They were cocky. They picked him up. They thought he would do something for them, and they just have not adapted. And yes, Matt is right. James Dolan either needs to sell the team or he needs to do a Zen exit, right? It's time to get rid of Phil Jackson. The triangle offense is going the way of the center in the NBA. It's extinct. It's going extinct. It's time to.
Hey! Don't mess with my sinners, man.
It's going extinct. It's over. It's dead. It's done. It's finished. It's fini. It's done. right? It's over. It's time to either fire Phil Jackson or trade Kristaps Porzingis and Carmelo Anthony and start all the way over, right? Because I'm really trying to think what's worse, the Cleveland Browns or the New York Knicks. And right now it's a tie. It's like the Cleveland Browns were all like, hey guys, no one can mess up their franchise worse than us. And the Knicks were all like, hold my beer. Phil Jackson just is destroying the Knicks. And this is bad because I'm in Philadelphia. I have no sympathy for New York teams. But here I am feeling sorry for the Knicks. Stop it, Phil. This is what you're doing to us. Stop it.
Why are you a Philadelphia should feel bad for any New York team? I mean, it's their fault. I don't care. I just trust in the process here. The heck with the Knicks.
Right. All right, so that's enough with that one. Matt, in 2 minutes or less, give us your condensed anger about Philando Castile.
Condensed anger is not the word to use here. It's more of just pure, unadulterated outrage. I mean, I'll be honest with you. 2 minutes is not enough of what the hell has been going on with this country. This is Jim Crow 2.1.1. Beyond outrage. This is not even numb anymore. How can I put this? There is no words that you can formulate in the English vocabulary, in the English language, to really truly to formulate into words how I feel, not just as an African, not just as a black man, but just a man in general. What 14% of the population feels as though that the system, and pretty much is true, doesn't work. It's been working against us for too damn long. Here we are, we're trying to go by the letter of the law, and literally, we still get killed for it. I mean, it goes to show that the National Rifle Association is for whites. This man, let me back up. I'm gonna make this a little personal. There's somebody know that knows Philando Castile personally through blood, okay? And by talking to this person, it's not even sorrow, it's not grief, it's all that combined with anger. It is to the point of inconsolable. And the hashtags go on and on and on and on. We say no more hashtags, but literally we are seeing racism turning on its head. And if we as a people do not face this stuff head on right now, it's going to, you think about, you thought the 1860s, 1870s, all the way up to the 1960s were bad. This is worse. It went from overt to covert, it's coming back to overt thanks to 45. So with that being said, time to sit on your hands and hope and pray something or someone could do something. The time is now. This is the right time to do it. This is not the right time to sit on your hands, sit on your feet, and the time is now to do something. No more waiting around.
All right, guys. Thank you, Matt, for keeping up with the time limit. And I know that's hard, especially in 2 minutes and anything else. But as I said earlier, we are on a.
This ain't Stronghold, bruh.
we're on a time limit because we do have a retreat tomorrow, so we're gonna try and stay within the allotted time that we have because we all do have to do retreats and everything. So, guys, I know it's currently going on, but we're doing our NFL draft reactions live as it happens, and obviously
It should be NBA.
we're all Sixers fans except for Amina, who's a Golden State fan, and they haven't picked yet. And so we'll go with that. So I'll let Trey go first since he's a Heat fan and tell us what he thinks about the draft so far. Go ahead, Trey.
I mean, the draft was actually very predictable this year. Marco Fultz was a consensus number one pick. If he didn't go number one, I mean, I would have been just shocked. Number two, it was obvious. I mean, from the jump, everybody knew Lonzo Ball was going to the Lakers. Number three, who was number three? I can't remember who number three was.
Celtics.
Say it again.
Boston.
It was Tatum.
Right, Boston took not Josh Jackson, but
they took Tatum.
Tatum, right? I always forget his name, Tatum. So I mean, the draft was fairly predictable. And the one thing that surprised me, and I'm sure it surprised you guys, is Malik Monk falling so far. And I was hoping that he would fall when after I saw Dennis Smith go, Josh Jackson. I was like, wow, okay, maybe he have a chance to get him. And then I think at 11, the Hornets took him, and I was like, dang. And then the Heat went and surprised me. I thought that they would go and get Justin Jackson, a shooting guard, or small forward / shooting guard who played for North Carolina, and they went and drafted Bam Adebayo, who's a power forward from Kentucky, and that pick because he's kind of like a Kenneth Reed type of player. However, he does have or has potential to develop more of a jumper, so I think he'll fit well into the. I really wanted Malik Monk though because they need more scoring. In the second half of the season, the Heat went 30-11, and ended up going 41-41 on the season, and just barely missed the playoffs by a game or two, I think. So adding Bam Adebayo, I think, really strengthens probably even their starting lineup because they really didn't have. They had a few guys who kind of shared minutes at power forward, but really they struggled at the power forward position. So I think that definitely will strengthen them defensively, which was their strength last year. I think again this year we'll see the Heat struggle, and I'm talking as a Heat fan. They'll struggle. They'll struggle offensively. And then the other thing is the Sixers getting Markelle Fultz. I like that pick. I think he fits well onto the team. He can, be a primary ball handler, and he can play well off ball. I know Kylan isn't very fond of Ben Simmons being a primary ball handler, so he was very. I'm sure he was very excited to see Markelle Fultz get picked.
Yes, I was.
If you're friends with him on Facebook, you know. He renamed Philadelphia Philadelphia.
Sure did.
But I mean, as far as I can say, the draft. I mean, up to the 14th pick where I saw the draft was fairly predictable, except for Malik Monk dropping so far. But I mean, I can see how he would have dropped just because teams were kind of leery of him only because he seems to be a one-dimensional player, meaning he's an offensive player and doesn't really show much promise on the defensive end of the floor. But the Hornets saw nothing of him that they drafted him, at 11. The other thing, and I already mentioned this, was the Knicks drafting the point guard from Paris, Frank Ntilikina. Well, on to the Knicks. Especially like I was saying, if Phil Jackson wants to run this triangle offense, or and Jeff Hornacek is, if he's willing to do that, he fits well into that style of offense. So I mean, as far as I can say, I got a kick out of LeVar Ball's interview after Alonzo Ball was drafted. He I don't know who it was interviewing, but he asked him where when he bought the hat he was wearing. He was wearing the a Big Baller brand, which is like 3Bs, and it was in purple, and the hat was yellow. The Lakers Lakers yellow, and he said the interview, the guy who asked him the question, when did you buy the hat? And he said, 19, 20 years ago. I knew 19, 20 years ago that Lonzo was going to play for the Lakers, and then he predicts that Lonzo Ball will take the Lakers to the playoffs. So I got a kick out of that. But the biggest thing of the night was Jimmy Butler getting traded to the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves immediately after adding Jimmy Butler are Western Conference. They are a Western Conference playoff team. If they're not, they will have underachieved extremely. They will have underachieved by. I mean, with the starting lineup of Ricky Rubio, probably Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, and then Gorgie Zhang and Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, with that starting lineup and a pretty formidable bench, I don't see how they can't make playoffs, even if it's as a 7 or 8 seed. So I'm looking forward to see what the Timberwolves do. And I guess as we learn more about the draft, we'll see what other teams have done.
Summer League in 2 weeks, starting on Independence Day. So y'all gonna get to see y'all Sixers. As far as about the Sixers, I'm happy. As Trey said, yes, I'm one of the few in Philadelphia. I do not think we have Giannis Antetokounmpo 2.0 on our roster, and I think that he needs to stay as a small forward. And Markelle Fultz can be half as good as most people are saying he is. They're comparing him to Damian Lillard. And if he's anything like Damian Lillard, then Ben Simmons shouldn't have to do anything as far as when it comes to ball carrying unless absolutely necessary because, I watched Ben Simmons in college. I was one of the few that watched LSU games. Ben Simmons, while a great player, turns the ball over so much, and I do mean as far as turnovers, he makes Russell Westbrook look like a genius. And y'all know how much I hate Russell Westbrook's turnovers. So that's how worse Ben Simmons is with the ball. Ben Simmons has LeBron power behind him and all that stuff, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy about Markelle Fultz getting drafted. I know I just skipped the order, but Markelle Fultz that's a good draft pick. As Trey said, Malik Monk, the surprise of the night, dropping so far, but like he said, I didn't even really think about that. He is kind of one-dimensional, but that's what a lot of players are at the shooting guard position. So you don't find too many two-way players. I can name two at that position. That's Klay Thompson and Jimmy Butler because they're both shooting guards. There's not too many two-way shooting guards that play at that position, and everybody else is James Harden. Dwayne Wade used to be able to do that, but he's not that. Avery Bradley is more one-dimensional as far as defense and everything else. And there's that. And the NBA draft is the NBA draft right now. Like Trey said, you gotta wait until a couple of weeks until summer league to really see what you have. Hopefully, they'll let Markelle Fultz play and he won't get injured because that's where Ben Simmons picked up his injury in summer league. We're gonna get into this later about how I'm excited. Philadelphia starting in November, Philadelphia until then. But, it's a great young core here in Philly. I'm very happy about that. I'm happy with everybody else's draft pick. I would have liked to see LeVar Ball squirm a little bit and see the Lakers take somebody else. But, everything worked out and we didn't have to experience that. So, the NBA draft is exciting. It's still going on. And, a lot of people should be excited. Amina can go, and then we'll save Matt for last if she got anything. Go ahead, Amina. Amina, you there? All right, go ahead, Matt.
Until she unmutes her
Hold
phone.
on. There
Yeah,
she
y'all
is.
hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I
Go
can.
ahead.
Yeah, it was muted. I think it's a great draft this year. I mean, it's a bunch of new people. I mean, they're all in the prime of their careers now. I'm happy for the Lakers. They finally got a young point guard, so hopefully he'll be able to develop with the team, stay on for quite a few years, and rebuild the team. Because you know the Lakers, it's kind of sad watching them. I can't watch a Lakers game anymore. Um, Sacramento, they got a pick. I saw, and a few other places. Dallas, Seth Curry, he's got to help for point guard down there in Dallas now, and a couple other teams. Oklahoma City, they getting a pick tonight too. So Russell Westbrook is going to get a new friend to help him out on his team. So everybody getting a little piece of the pie that needs something seriously this season. So I'm happy for him.
So that's a good joke you made of me, though. Russell Westbrook and friends.
His two buddies left him. He ain't got no friends no more. He ain't got no friends no more. It's KD on my team and Harden went off to the Rockets 5 years ago. So he ain't got no team. He ain't got no friends no more. It's just him and these random people on his team now. So hopefully he'll get a new friend to help him out tonight. But I'm
All right.
pleased so far. It's been good so
Though
far.
you're all terrible, all both of y'all. You and Colin. I mean, talking about some Russell Westbrook need some friends. The hell wrong with y'all? Look, look. My
He
biggest
needs
concern.
some friends.
No, the hell with them. Look, the fact of the matter remains simple is the Sixers did not screw it up, okay? I can't wait to see what we got. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you got Fultz as pretty much your one. You got Simmons. You got Embiid coming off his injury. I mean, Sark, probably coming off the bench as your sixth man. I mean, I can't. For the first time ever, and I'll be honest with you, I can't. I can't believe I'm saying this. I've never said this since like I don't know, middle school, probably high school. I cannot wait for the NBA season to start. And believe me watching Phillies baseball and watching their draft and it's how their first round pick is nice and cute and everything and cuddly. But the fact of the matter is simply this. I was like, I've never been this amped for a draft in my life. And literally, the time is now. I believe. Thank you, Sam Hinkie. We praise you. We thank you in everything, in every way possible.
Wow, they actually made Matt less of a cynic. Oh my god. The Sixers did a miracle. They made Matt less of a cynic.
I mean, like, look. The fact of the matter is, the time is now to start when you have the core here. It is here. It is now. Now all you have to do is just put the pieces in place to get this team to become a perennial championship contender in the East and also all across the NBA. This, I mean, literally, I can't wait for summer ball. I cannot wait to see how this team gels, the chemistry of it all. I mean, everybody in this town think about the rotation, how it's going to come out, how it's going to play out. I'll be honest with you, I can't wait. Look. All right, look. I can't wait for. I'm honest with you. I can't wait till October. You know, let's do this, man. I mean, look. Let's hurry up and get the World Series out the way, and let's start basketball season. Let's go do this.
Listen, man, it is for real. You know, we're gonna have a bunch of topics on the Sixers. So since we're here, let's get into it. Is the process over? I think we're all in agreement that barring injuries, the process should be over. As Trey pointed out, I think Arthur, he might have pointed out on air too, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. The Sixers have changed the name from Trust the Process to live the moment or something, or experience the moment. Something, it was something that was on their ticket sales last year. So we're in the moment now. So guys, is the process over? Matt already pretty much gave his answer, but go ahead, Trey.
What was the question? So I can hear it again.
Sorry, is the process over? Are we in the moment era now?
I definitely think that we're moving now from this tanking stage, the process now into what now we're kind of changing our slogan. The Sixers are changing their slogan to from the process to welcome to the moment. They pretty much have all the pieces. Really, all they need is a starting caliber shooting guard, and a veteran presence. And we talked about that before. Signing Kyle Lowry would be a great pickup for the Sixers because he does both. He provides them with someone who can play both the one and the two, and he provides that veteran presence. Plus, he can shoot. So, I think Kyle Lowry is a great pickup. In the future, this is wishful thinking for Sixers fans, but Klay Thompson will be a free agent after next season. So now the Sixers are in this stage where they're just going to be developing talent and adding veteran presence to mentor their young guys. They're about a year or two behind where the Timberwolves are now. The Timberwolves now, with the addition of Jimmy Butler, are a playoff team, or should be at least. The Sixers are about 2 years behind that. Now, maybe with the addition of some free agents, probably not this season. Probably not this off season, but maybe with the addition of some free agents next off season, and maybe some trades or whatever the case may be, they may be able to expedite the moment that they actually become a playoff team, and we're like, okay, yeah, I'm confident in this team that they can actually in the East do something. If they add Kyle Lowry this offseason, to be honest with you, they may be able to squeeze in that 7 or 8 seed, just because Kyle Lowry is a playoff caliber point guard / shooting guard, whatever you want to call him. And with the bench that the Sixers have and the chemistry that they have, they may be able to sneak into the playoffs this year if you add Kyle Lowry and maybe another veteran presence. But the process is definitely over. Is definitely over. And now you're in the beginning of the moment where, like I said, you're adding veteran presence. You're grooming your talent to be ready, and within a year or two, the Sixers, unless they expedite their process by adding top tier free agents, will be a playoff team, and we'll be ready to move on up in the Eastern Conference.
Amina?
Yeah, I feel as though the Sixers, they're in rebuild phase. I mean, they're not where they were, when the Sixers were, one of the most hyped up teams in the NBA, but they're definitely in rebuild phase. I see what they're doing, getting their roster together. And I think within maybe, like he said, maybe 2-3 years from now, they might be able to do something that they haven't done in a while, get to a playoffs. And the other teams, I think they're moving along. I think there's going to be a shift. I think teams that weren't doing so well this season that just ended, I think they may have a chance, depending on who they get during this off season. But the Eastern Conference, they really do need the help. So the Sixers, they're trying to, get that ball going. Because right now, the Western Conference is running an NBA like clockwork. So the Eastern Conference, they need all the help they can get.
Watch this, right? Watch this. Believe it or not, the process is still going on.
It's a rebuilding phase. It'll always be rebuilding.
Look, the process is still going on. But watch this. Here you go. The Sixers have money. They have a lot of space in the cap. Now, here you go. So, like Trey said, if, say, for example, the Sixers somehow, some way, miraculously land Kyle Lowry, screw it. This team is going to punch my ticket. We're going to the playoffs. But I'm not going that route just yet. Sixers have a lot of money in the cap. The Sixers need to, like I said earlier, get this chemistry together because based on what we saw last year, particularly in January, this team can win ball games. It's the matter of closing it out, playing the full 48 minutes, and not taking 1 or 2 quarters off. So, based on that, the process is still in the works. We still trust the process. However, on the court, remains to be seen as far as 2017-18 is concerned. As far as the business side of things, we need, like I said, a few veterans here and there, and probably a big name talent to actually take this team over the top so the process becomes the champs. That's where we need to go. That's where we need to be. This, as far as Philadelphia is concerned, is right for the taking. So let's go Sixers.
Everybody else may be a little hesitant to say it, but I'll say this: barring any health setbacks, the Sixers should be a playoff team. They should be competing with 7th and 8th. As Matt and Trey pointed out, they need some veteran presence, which is why, I no longer think we're in the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes, but I think that there's a certain player that would do us very well that's sitting on the market right now, and it's time to get in the sweepstakes, and the Sixers could offer him the most money. I think it's time, and I know Trey will be disappointed when I say this, it's time to go for Gordon Hayward. He'd be perfect for what the Sixers want to do and what they need. They need a shooting guard who can space the floor and somebody who can make it so we can get rid of that liability Robert Covington. And that is my main man, Gordon Hayward, the dude from Butler. I mean, just picture this, if you will, guys, right? We get Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is in the corner spotting up for threes instead of Robert Covington. I said this last night during our Bible study. I don't know, Trey heard me yesterday. I was all like, so instead of you seeing Joel Embiid passing it to Robert Covington in the corner, and Sixers fans started cringing because we know Robert Covington is like J.R. Smith. When he's on, he's on, and when he's off, he's off. So, instead of that, you could get Mr. Consistency himself, Gordon Hayward, a person who could create their own shot and everything else. Just picture that. If they don't get Gordon Hayward, then they can rock out and draft Josh Hart. He's another one who's lethal. And I fully expect the Sixers to draft him as shooting guard. And if they do that, then you know what? I'll be okay, and I'll say just rock out with Jared Bayless as long as his wrist is healthy and everything. But at this point for the Sixers, they are in the moment right now, and at the moment, they need some vets, and so they need to get them some vets because right now, I would guess the oldest player on the roster is just in years, and who's played the most consistent basketball outside of Gerald Henderson is Jallo Okafor. because he's played more consistent basketball than anybody else on the roster. So, you know, and I guess Dario Saric, since he was the only one to play a full season. So that's your vets right now, and obviously, you know, they're trying to build a culture there, and this will be the only time in the show you'll see me give the Colangelos love. Good job, Colangelos. You didn't screw it up. You didn't mess it up. You did what you needed to do. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing. I'm not here to kill you. I'm just here to say that you better make sure that you're at all four of those players, not named Markelle Fultz, in a bubble to make sure they don't get injured. Make sure you're telling Embiid to hit the gym, do some leg ups and everything else to get his legs stronger, so he's not injuring his meniscus by coming down on the field. So, I mean, coming down after getting a rebound. You know, it's just the little things now. This is why you pay your physical therapist and your health staff to keep your core healthy. So if that all works out, I'm ready to say that they get the right veterans, the Sixers might be in the playoffs this year. I know it's been a long time. It hasn't happened since 2013, but we may be a playoff team. That's what I'll say. So moving right along to the next question, which is this, guys, and we kind of touched on it already, but will Markelle Fultz make a difference for the 76ers? I'll start. Yes. As Trey pointed out, you know, I am anti Ben Simmons as the Giannis Antetokounmpo starting at point guard because Ben Simmons ain't got that length. He's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's not the Greek freak. And I know he's grown a whole 4 inches because he's 20 years old and now he's officially 7 foot. But he's not Kevin Durant either. He's got a slower defensive step than Jallo Okafor in the defense and everything. And I have to see when he plays this year. But I hope he took some time to do 2 things in his game. Improve his shot because his shot is horrible. He shot 16.7% during his college career from outside. And, you know, hopefully he improved that jump shot. And also he improved his defense. Now, if he's done that, then yes, half at it. You can start at point guard. But until then, Markelle Fultz, this is not about Ben Simmons. It's about Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz has been compared to Damian Lillard. And if he's half as good as Damian Lillard is, then he will be great for us for a long, long time. And he has that killer instinct. He has the jump shot. He's a two-way player, which is great. He's great off the pick and roll. He's got a very, very pure jump shot. So he makes a difference. He spreads the floor. He makes it so the floor isn't congested. He knows how to pass the ball. He can get not only Joel Embiid involved, but he can get everybody involved. He can make Ben Simmons better. He can open up the court for Ben Simmons and make sure the paint isn't compacted so he can do what he wants to do. And like I said, I hope Ben Simmons has developed a jump shot, because if Markelle Fultz is half as lethal as I think he is, then Ben Simmons will find himself open a lot from outside, from long range, and from 2-point range, from 16 feet and out. As long as he has a jump shot, he should be able to have a good season with Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz is a great player. He makes the Sixers markedly better, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to be great for us, and he might lead us to the playoffs this year. And this is what he's done. Just this acquisition has made me more of a believer, because y'all know I'm the Sixers cynic on this podcast, has made me more of a believer in the Sixers that they can actually make the playoffs this year. And that's a marketable turnaround for the Sixers. So go ahead, Matt. We can just go right down the line.
Look, put it this way. The Sixers got what they needed. Now, as far as Fultz is concerned, in my view, you have 2 ball handlers. But Fultz would do more, I think, the heavy lifting as far as point guards, anything is concerned. Now, Um, with Simmons is basically what boils down to is a slasher. We got that now. Now, him being at 7 foot, chances are he's going to play the 4. Chances are. So, with that being said, you know, on paper, the team's gotten better. On paper. My thing is, does he pass the eye test as far as the NBA, Summer League, etc.? That's where my let's not get too carried away here phase is right now. This team got what it needs right now. It got what it needs right now. And based on what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and everything else, this team should be fine. This team should be okay. But like I said, the biggest concern is Embiid and his foot, and whether Simmons can pretty much improve his game based on the fact that he sat out the whole entire season. Lucky him. So, with that being said, also, this team got better on paper all through the draft. However, in my view, it remains to be seen. He has to pass that eye test as far how he gels with the team, how he works with the team, the whole bit. That's where my head is at this point. So I'm excited. Don't get me wrong, but I have a very wait and see approach about how the whole general picture here. Trey?
Oh yeah. I mean, Markelle Fultz is going to be a very good player for the Sixers, and that is a very good comparison to Damian Lillard. I think he might be more like CJ McCollum actually. I think he has more athleticism though, and so because of that, he'll be a better defender than CJ McCollum. But I think he does fit well, and with his potential, he's going to be a very, very good player for the Sixers for a while. I think Ben Simmons is going to be a very good player. I guess we'll talk about with Embiid. We'll talk about this later, but I think Embiid will be a good player. I know Kylan disagrees with me on, his ability to play a full NBA season, but I think that his injury days are behind him. And then you have Jahlil Okafor. But whoever they add, whether it's Gordon Hayward, which I really don't see them doing because Gordon Hayward really is a small forward, and Kyle Lowry fits in that position better in terms of actually being able to play the two rather than someone like Gordon Hayward, who's really a small forward. But I think the addition of Markelle Fultz definitely has maybe they're still in the process, maybe they're not. I don't think they're really in the process anymore. I think they're kind of past that stage. But Markelle Fultz is kind of turning the page for them now, and they're from my point of view, they're no longer looking to instead of maybe let's say 2 years ago they were intentionally losing, right? Last season, with the exception of the last 30 games or so, it was clear that they were actually trying to win. And now we haven't added the final piece, but 4 out of the 5 pieces that you needed on the court we have, and it seems as if like we're gonna actually try to win, and we'll actually be able to do it this season. And much of that will have to do with Markelle Fultz. The question, and I mean, I think he's an NBA ready player. And like Matt said, this looks all good on paper. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see Markelle Fultz in the summer league and whoever else the Sixers draft. So we'll see. But I do think that just the addition of him alone has actually boosted them to the point where now they have a more full lineup. And I think that they will be able to do some damage in a weak Eastern Conference and kind of sneak into that 8 seed, maybe even 7 seed range, if they're lucky. But now they're no longer they're trying to win, and not only are they trying to win, but they also have the ability to win. So.
Amina, you there? Amina, you there?
Beep.
Okay.
Beep.
Yeah, I'm here. Like what Matt said, they're good on paper. I mean, we haven't seen them play. This is the off season. We won't really know anything until at least as the season really gets started. Yeah, I guess around maybe December, January, when you can really see their chemistry. They're good on paper. Everything is sounding good, but no one knows how a new team being formulated functions together until they actually have established a playing history with one another. So all seems good, and I'm praying for the best for them. But we have to see their chemistry, like actually on the court, in quite a few games to really judge.
Okay. Moving right along. Well, you know what? Before we start, I think we need a bold prediction. We need to be bold here. So I'll be bold. My prediction is that the Sixers will have a good year, and I will say that they will, as of June 22nd, 10:39 p.m. I know Matt's got his ears perked up because he know I'm about to say something wild to get y'all to watch. but 76 will make the playoffs in the weak Eastern Conference. They will be in 8th seed, and Markelle will show out and make these Damian Lillard comparisons. And just like Damian Lillard, he will lead his team to the playoffs and show out, only to be eliminated in the first round, because I don't have him in the first round, by probably the Boston Celtics, but it could be the Cleveland Cavaliers, depending on who they get during the offseason. But, and just to be even bolder, Joel Embiid plays 42 games. There you go, Trey. I'm giving him 12 more games. He plays 42 games before 42 to 50 before something happens where he can't play, because he never, even if his team gets there, he never ends up playing in the playoffs. He didn't do it in Kansas. I don't think anything will change here. But he'll play enough games to get them to the playoffs and then probably get injured. But he'll do enough to get a $100 million contract. There you go.
Kylan, do you think it's going to be for next year, for next June? Do you think it's going to be a fourth year in a row? Is it too early to tell, or do you think it's going to be different next June?
What? What do you mean?
Do you think it's going to be Warriors versus Cavs for fourth year in a row, or do you think it's going to be something different, or is it too early to tell?
Don't you put that blasphemy around here? You done lost your mind. Don't you dare put that blasphemy around here. Don't you kill my buzz. Don't you kill my buzz, okay? Talk about this Warriors Cleveland nonsense. I mean, three's enough. Three's enough, okay? I mean, geez.
Crazy ass thing. Calm your butt down.
But here's
Full dollar Cleveland can't keep their act together. You don't give me that
Hey,
nonsense.
I'm just saying, is it too early to tell? People are saying that it might be a fourth year in a row. It
No,
might not be.
see, they had too much to drink. That's what it is. They had too much to drink. They don't understand the fact that there are 28 other NBA franchises that want the same damn thing. I don't want to hear that nonsense.
It's too early. It's too early to tell, and we'll save the fire for later, guys. But I thought Matt would come in and tell me I'm wrong for saying the Sixers were saying he'll play. Embiid will play 41 games. Know what I say? 42 to 50, and he'll get us to the playoffs, and then something will happen. There you go. There you go, Trey. I'll give him 42 to 50 games. Just enough games to get $100 million this season. What you think, man? That's my bold prediction. What you think? Trey, you there? I guess. Oh, all right. So, Matt, what up? I know this is your baseball update, but I want you to approach it from this since hockey is dead. Hockey is done. What up? What up with the Phillies, man?
I don't know. I really don't. Look, let me tell you something. The Philadelphia Phillies, yes, they're the worst team in baseball. They lead the league in runners left on base. That's not good. The Phillies, I got to check. I really got to check. I think they're among the top league leaders in rounding into double plays. I went to the game on, was it Tuesday? I went to the game on Tuesday against the Cardinals, where the game with the extra innings, I think, and the Phillies just somehow just gave it up in the 11th inning, put up a 6-7 spot on the board. And they just give up opportunities. But, like, as a Phillies fan, you're just frustrated. You're frustrated. This team, they got some fight in them, but they give up leads. I mean, I'm on the bandwagon now of, you know what? Here it is, June. You just signed your number one pick. I forgot his name already. I can't think of it right now. They'll sign your first round draft pick, and we're on the verge of getting another first round number one pick again. The way this is going. I'm flabbergasted as a fan. A person, I'm baffled. So it's time to I would say, as far as the MLB roster is concerned, blow it up. I'm as much as I want Freddie Galvis and Cesar Hernandez who's on the DL right now. You gotta bring him up. Look, I did read an article in the Metro, and it makes a good point to where, so you know what, it's okay to bring them up, say around August, July, August at the earliest. August at the earliest. Mid-late July at the earliest. Bring them up now. If they fail, they fail. You send them back down. Work on what we need to work on. You come back up. You are a more polished ball player. You see that in Chase Utley, Chute Ruiz, Jason Worth. It happens. And Mike in Clintac, the GM, is worried about how they feel. I don't care about how you feel. Mike, you're in the major leagues. Your job is to produce. And right now, Michael Sanders is blowing my money. Been pretty much okay. Tom Joseph he had an 8-game hitting streak coming in before that got snapped. I think it was 18-14, I can't remember. But that got snapped on Tuesday night. But this team's in shambles. This team cannot hold a lead. This team can't get a lead to save their lives. I mean, they won the day on a business person special. But we need to win a series. Winning 1 out of 3 is not going to do it. Oh, side note. Matt Scherzer strikes again. He had a no-hitter going to the 8th inning before that got shot down. So Max Scherzer, he's the man. I give him all the credit in the world. But with that, I don't know.
All right, that was Matt's baseball update based on what's wrong with the Phillies. As I've said, I'm going to try and do a lot more with baseball since, it's the summer now, and we have 2 more weeks until Summer League, and training camp doesn't start until July. But even though we have to wait until mid-July for football, we still have mini camps.
And the All-Star game.
And the All-Star game, hold up. Oh, look at that. Villanova's own Josh Hart is going to the Lakers. Blue. Should have been with the Sixers, but whatever. We're going to talk about one of our favorite players. But before we do that, shouts out to the Raiders for making Derek Carr the highest paid quarterback for 2017-2018.
My team.
So I mean, he's happy about that. So let make her happy before we talk about our Eagles. So guys, even though they wrapped up mini camp, Nelson Agholor sounds like was a standout star of mini camp. So the question is, so far from what we're hearing, now they haven't played a game yet, so let's get that straight. But do you guys think that Mike Graw, the guy who revitalized Alshon Jeffrey's career in Chicago, has woken up Nelson Agholor and brought out that first-round pick potential? Go ahead, Matt.
First of all, let's back up. This is OTAs. Who gives a damn? Other than that, look, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, my view is I'm with the Eagles. They're wait and see too. Okay, I want to wait until training camp to see. Okay, did Nelson Agholor really, have his head screwed on right during OTAs? I mean, everybody looks good in OTAs. Everybody in their mouth looks sexy in OTAs. But let's see what happens in training camp and the first 2 preseason games. Because I'll be honest with you, OTAs is OTAs. Mandatory OTAs is mandatory OTAs. Who gives a rest? I mean, but by having Jeffries and Torrey coming in, and literally, in a sense, Agholor has been downgraded to pretty much your number 4 receiver, really. Oh, hush, you're a Raiders fan. The fact is, you have a stacked wide receiving core. That's a good thing. However, for Nelson like this, I think it's a good idea to take a step back and learn. So and see how it's really done. 2 outstanding wide receivers, Jordan Matthews. He's good and it's all right, but I think he's better. But with that being said, he better learn because last season was the worst I have ever seen. How you drop a ball with a number between how you gonna drop a ball with the ball right in between the numbers, So I hope that don't happen again.
Right down the line. Go ahead, Trey. Trey?
I don't know. This is one of those things where Me and my dad were chuckling in the car because they were talking about it on, I think it was 94.1 or whatever, how he's been impressing in spring practice, and he's like, well, who is he playing against? So I mean, it's kind of funny, but that, I mean, the fact that they're calling him the standout star of spring practice, blah blah, so that may be a good sign. And maybe it just took, doing well in spring practice will give him a little bit of confidence where he can kind of get to where the player he can be. The thing is, I don't think he was first round talent. I think he was more third, maybe even fourth round talent. Whatever he becomes, if he does regain his confidence or whatever and is able to actually catch the ball, I don't think he's much more than a guy who maybe catches 15 balls and maybe a touchdown or two. I think he'd be more useful on special teams than he would even be in the passing game. I never really expected him to be first round talent because I don't think he was first round talent. I think the Eagles, I mean, you talk about reaching, he was a reach and Marcus Smith was a reach. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, I don't think we're going to see a guy who we thought was like the worst player ever is just going to turn into an actual first round talent. I don't think he was a first round talent. And although a lot of times you do find gems in the third or fourth round, one of those guys. I think he's going to live his career as being a guy who at best catches 30, maybe 35 or 40 balls in a year and probably doesn't really get many touchdowns. I think he'll find most of his success special teams, and I think that's where they should put him.
You got anything, or you can talk about your Raiders since we brought that up.
Oh, I'm very excited. Right now he's the richest player in the NFL. He got Derek Carr. He'll be getting 25 million a year. He got a 5-year contract extension, so that's 125 million altogether. And he has 1 year left in his current contract, so he'll be with the team with this all together for 6 years before he resigns. He says that he wants to, from the reports that I've seen, that he wants to retire as a Raiders. So he's plans on being there for his entire career. He's 26, so he's in the prime of his career. And I see him playing football for at least 15 years more. And it's very exciting because we're trying to compete for our 4th Super Bowl title. I mean, we were just close this past season, but it kind of collapsed with that game against the Colts when he went down. But we're coming back, and I think he has more motivation to get out there and get the 4th title because of this money that he just got. Like, it's a really historic contract that he just signed. Like, most players can only imagine how he would feel. So I know him and his wife were excited. So.
All right. As far as the Eagles stuff, I feel the same way Trey and his father do. It's funny how that works. Great minds think alike. But I'm happy about Nelson Aguilar doing well. To everyone's point, that's why the Eagles wanted Mike Grawl in as the wide receivers coach, and that's why they fired Greg Lewis. Because they wanted Mike Grawl. He was like the wide receiver guru, and so what that means is he was the reason why the Bears had that two-headed monster of Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall, because he was the reason that Alshon Jeffrey was so good in Chicago, because he coached them up. And so now he's coaching up. Nelson Aguilar. Maybe that's all he needed. Maybe Greg Lewis. There's certain times, even during work, there's certain kids that you don't really get to, but another teacher can, or another person can really get through the student, get through that person. So maybe that's what Nelson Aguilar needed. Maybe it was all in his head and all coaching. So maybe now that he has a better coach who can really speak to his situation, preach to him like that Draymond Green meme where you see him talking to Kevin Durant. Maybe that's all Nelson Aguilar needed. Maybe he'll do well. Like Matt said, we'll wait and see until July 26th. That's when the Eagles start training camp, and that's when training camp officially begins. And hopefully, guys, all of us will be able to go to an Eagles open practice. So put it down in y'all calendars now. They have one on July 29th and one on August 6th or August 4th. I think it's the last Sunday in July and the first Sunday in August. So hopefully the Amina, Trey, Matt, and I will be able to go to one of those, and we'll be able to talk through it. Y'all can hear us argue and show the love live and in person. Or
Eagles versus Raiders playing the game this season too.
Oh Lord, we definitely won't be live for that one.
I'm pumped about that. I'm very excited.
But yeah, so as far as Nelson Aguilar, man, I hope he can turn that into a successful season. I share Matt's assertion. I think he'll have I think he only had 2 touchdowns, so maybe he'll get 3 or 4 this year. We'll see. I mean, anything's possible. But that's how I feel about Aguilar. And it's the Mike Grawl effect. All right, guys. So we only got about 3 more questions, and we're gonna hit these questions real quick because, like I said, we all have a busy weekend that starts Louisville tomorrow at 8 a.m. So we got to hit these topics and get to bed. So guys, what's going on with the Cavs?
They're bums. That's what they are. They always are going to be bums. Their team is bums. Their head coach is a bum. Their entire roster are bums. Anybody that knows me knows that I call the Cavs the bums. That's what they are. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just bums.
All right, from a we're all hopefully, except for Amina, we'll all take this from a non-Warriors fan perspective. But guys, what's wrong with the Cavs? They fired their general manager.
Bums.
So Matt, you can start.
No, I'm gonna sit back and enjoy this. Let Trey go first. I'm gonna sit back and enjoy this. I'll fill in last. I gotta see this. I meant from this Warrior nut case. Talking about some Warriors, this Warrior that. Were you in bed with the whole town of Oakland? I'm kidding, but
I'm a Warriors and Raiders fan. Can't help it.
Go ahead, Trey. Matt sees it to you.
One of the Cavs?
Yeah.
I mean, they just lost. That's what's going on with the Cavs. Some people thought that Paul George might go to the Cavs, but, recently he said that he will be leaving for free agency after next season, and his likely destination is the Lakers. So if the Cavs are going to do anything, it's probably going to be trade Kevin Love because they don't have cap space to sign free agents. I mean, it's not like the Cavs are. I mean, they may have another so-called down season like they did this year, but I mean, it's not like, it's not like we're gonna look at the Cavs and say, the Cavs are gonna, it's not like they're gonna fall to be like a 5 or a 6 seed. I just don't. I mean, as long as LeBron James is on that team, I mean, they're gonna be favorites to go to the finals. So, any worries that we have about the Cavs now, they're minimal. I mean, their biggest issue is defense, and they need to get younger. So I mean, and that involves trades. So, I mean, you got a lot of for example, Darren Williams needs to retire. The whole bench pretty much is all old people, plus some younger guys who are just filler. They're just roster spots. So what the Cavs need to do is they need to start making some trades, cutting some people in order to make their team younger and more. What's the word? I mean, they just need to sign some people who are better defensively. Implement the core of LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and whoever else is there, whether it's Kevin Love or somebody that they trade for.
All right, Amina. You gonna tell us? You gonna tell us something other than their bums?
Okay, I usually call them bums, but I'm not gonna call them bums right now. I saved the bums for later. um, yeah, they're old. Like half their team is just getting up there in age, and they just gave up, and they're still processing the fact that they just lost. They were weak this season. I mean, their second seed, the Celtics snatched that from them, and I was beyond elated with that. I was happy when that game happened. Um, well, LeBron James is in his final year of his contract, so by the time this year, next year comes, we'll definitely know what the future of the Cavaliers are, and they're just in a really suffering point. Like they really do need to get rid of people on the team, trade people, move people around, and just reduce like the age, like get young people on the team. But they're not good at this point. I mean, they've lost within the last 3 years. They've lost two finals. They're not on a good foot, so to speak. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a fan of theirs right now because their team is not, you know, can't you can't necessarily say what you know or feel about the team because they're not in a good position right now. So their future, I don't know what's going on with them.
I know what's going on with them. The
Except
fact that go
they're
ahead.
bombs. They're bombs. But I had to save that. It's for after because it was, you know. But yeah, they need to get their lives
Bum,
together if they're trying to be
bums,
serious.
bums. I mean,
Right.
come on, bums. I
Yep.
mean, geez, I know you're gloating on the fact that you went 2 out of 3 against the Cavaliers. You have every right to gloat, but gee whiz. Look, bottom line is simply this. In reality, the Cleveland Cavaliers is basically the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. Full down well, they only play defense. And basically, they got beat because of it. So, with that being said, you can have two options. Reload the gun or move on. If you're Cleveland, I would reload the gun. However, since your hands strong, since your hands are tied, you have to move some parts, move some parts around.
They ain't even got no money hardly like that.
I mean, Richard Jefferson. I mean, it was a great career, but come on now. But think about this. If you look at the box score of the whole entire NBA Finals, the Golden State Warriors used their entire bench the
Mhm.
entire series. Cleveland did not. So that to me raises a red flag for me. You have, like I said, you can rebuild the gun. I mean, never reload the gun. Excuse me, but you have to move parts. You have to eat some, not drop salaries, dump salaries if you need to, because to put yourself in this position, and to have no money to move around, you're saying you're committed to winning with this roster no matter what. I'm sorry to tell you, the Golden State Warriors are the champs again. And as of right now, this team has not proven to do whatever they need to do to literally move heaven and earth to get back to the NBA Finals and take it away from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And their biggest weakness right now is defensively. They do very well in transition, half court, and everything else. But it's their defense that will get this team in some serious trouble. We have seen it. It's been exposed, and literally the window for Cleveland is starting, in my opinion, to shrink. If they don't reload this gun and move money around. If it means moving Kevin Love, so be it. Honestly, I will move Tristan Thompson, my darn self. Thompson, excuse me. I'll move him. But you have to move some. True. But still, you have to move some parts, free up cap space to reload the gun if you have to, and get rid of dead weight. So that's where I'm at right now. Because Cleveland's Cleveland. Cleveland will do what Cleveland do, and that's choke.
All right, so I'm here. Cleveland is suffering from the LeBron James effect. So what do I mean by that? So when Cleveland initially got LeBron James, right, in order to get Kevin Love, what they wound up doing was what's the old saying? Cutting off your nose to spite your face. If you guys remember that draft, they had the one and only Andrew Wiggins, who they drafted with the number 1 pick. You know, after LeBron James had decided to come back, they had Andrew Wiggins on the roster. What did Cleveland decide to do? They traded Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett, which Anthony Bennett was a throwaway. The more important person was Andrew Wiggins. They wound up throwing that away, and that was the beginning of no defense, right? Because after they got rid of Andrew Wiggins, they really had no defenders on the roster after that, right? So they got rid of Wiggins. Wiggins went on to flourish, and now is one of the best young two-way players of a highlight reel. He could actually play defense. And where is he doing it at? Minnesota with Karl-Anthony Towns and Ricky Rubio. Now, somebody point to me where the 22, where the youth is on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We've said it. They're old. Why are they old? Because of LeBron James. Because Kevin Love wanted to come to Cleveland. LeBron James wanted him. In order to get Kevin Love in, they had to get rid of the youth, Andrew Wiggins. And there it was right there. Andrew Wiggins had to go. And ever since then, and I've said this before, ever since then, I've said it before, it's been all downhill for Cleveland because now they have, I don't know how old Kyrie Irving is. He's got to be in his late 20s. But LeBron is 33, and I've said it before on this podcast. I'll say it again. 33 was the year Mike broke down. 33 was the year Kobe broke down. And 33 will be the year that LeBron will break down. Now, will that be injury? Probably not, but I don't know. So, the time is undefeated, and LeBron is 33. He's slowing down. He can't play 40 minutes anymore. And you know what would have been great for the Cavaliers if they had a young, up and coming person who used to play small forward, who can play small forward, and is a two-way player who could spell LeBron. I wonder what happened to that player. Oh, that's right. They traded him to Minnesota. Andrew Wiggins. You see that? It all goes back to the LeBron James effect. Because you have LeBron James on your team, you're not going to be bad enough to be a lottery team. You're always going to be picking in the bottom half of the draft, and all the good players are gone by then. So you're always never going to get a really good player, right? Or you have to wait to the second round, and you're usually picking at the bottom half of the second round too, but you never get a good player. So when you hit, and so that's the LeBron James effect. Why do they have to get rid of Kevin Love again to get more youth? Is because the reason why they don't have youth is because they got Kevin Love and they traded away all their youth. And ever since then, to use Amina's word, they have a bunch of young, I won't say bums, but young players who don't play because the Cleveland Cavaliers don't use their bench. Tyronn Lue is against using his bench. I don't know why, but he is. Right? And what's wrong with the Cleveland Cavaliers? Well, they're old. They're suffering from bad coaching as far as managing the bench. And they have a skittish owner who's very scared because he might lose LeBron James again. And so that's why he's firing David Griffin, because he doesn't want to give away more young talent when LeBron James will probably leave and go to the Lakers next year. And, that's what it is right now. That's the three things out of the Cleveland Cavaliers. No defense, old, mismanagement on all sides of the office, of the front office, on the bench and up top. That's what's wrong with the Cleveland Cavaliers. A lot of mismanagement, old age, and no defense. So moving right along, we're going to skip the Joel Embiid question for lack of time, and we kind of touched on that anyway. I'm gonna let us reload up on our guns for that one next week. But guys, we're gonna talk about another case that broke last weekend. I don't know if you guys remember where you were last week when the news broke. I had just gotten out of the barber chair when I looked up on the barber's TV screen and it said that Bill Cosby had gotten off by a mistrial because of a hung jury. So, guys, where are we at on the Cosby verdict? Let's start with Amina. Go ahead, Amina.
Team Cosby. Anybody that knows me knows that I've said how I feel about this, and look at this. All these females coming out the woodwork, especially this one female that's looking like Howard Stern. Mm-hmm. That's neither here or there. How do you remember so much and you were so heavily drugged up?
Don't do it, Amina. Listen, when the feminists come, I'm sending them your way. Don't do this.
How do you remember so much and you were drugged up? And how? I support women who have been through abuse, neglect, domestic violence, whatever the case may be. But these women are out in a vindictive feast. None of this stuff came out in the media until he tried to buy NBC and NBC Universal. The man is innocent. He's being framed because of what he tried to buy. They didn't want him to buy it, so they had to pin charges on him. How do you remember so much and you were drugged up that you couldn't forget? Your story not even adding up. Why would you keep going back and forth to a man's house? Not only a man's house, but a married man's house at that. Back and forth. Back and forth. I could see if it happened once. But no, you kept going back. No, He's innocent. I'm glad it was a mistrial. So now he can go on about his business and enjoy his life. Bill Cosby raped me. No, he didn't. You wanted that. Running back and forth to his house. Get out of here.
All you, Trey.
To be honest with you, like when I found out about all of this, like the whole Bill Cosby thing, the trial and everything, I was just like, no, this can't. This got to be like one of those Onion articles or something. Because I mean, I really liked the Bill. You know, I always loved watching the Bill Cosby show. But you know, now that we've come to this where it's been a mistrial, what I hope is true is that he actually did not, you know, that none of this is true, right? This is all a big lie, that this was women are all lying, right? That's what I hope. But that's a strong, you know, that's a strong case to make that they were all of these women that make claims against him were lying, and that he never drugged anybody, and you know, it may and the reason there's a mistrial is because a lot of the stories don't add up, and I really, really hope that, you know, that none of this is true, and that, you know, Bill Cosby can go be Bill Cosby and die a happy death, you know. I mean, that's really all I can say about it. I just hope that he can die a happy death. I mean, he's 70 something now, closing on 80, I think, and I just hope he can be Bill Cosby again, and that people can look at him and you know, without that veil of, oh, he's a rapist or he's a sexual abuser. So that's my thoughts on it real quick.
Matt?
I personally do not have a horse in this race nor a dog in this fight. I really don't. Because the whole thing doesn't feel right. So, something is like, you can smell BS a mile away. That's where it is right now. Something about this case doesn't add up to me. It's not, and what Mina said about NBC, it is one of them. 50 plus women coming out at one time. I question that too. I mean, now I'm not gonna take. I mean, I can only take all of it for what it is. However, I'm not gonna say I'm happy it was a mistrial. I'm not saying whatever. I'm not going that route because this didn't sound right. The whole thing, the whole case didn't sound right to me. You know, it's not the fact that is Bill Cosby the family dad, blah blah blah. But it's like I have questions of my own, and one of them is, first of all, why would you go to his house and, you know, give you whatever? No, let me back up. Why go to his house repeatedly? And what was the reason to go to his house? Now, my thing is, I mean, it's more questions I have about this whole thing, but it just doesn't. The whole thing doesn't sit right. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't add up. And I think there's more. There's more to it. There's more to what's going on right now, because to hear that, you know, Bill Cosby did this, Bill Cosby did that, like, okay. An accusation like that, you do take seriously, but there has to be some type of truth behind it, and a trail behind that too. Now, you have to remember, in the 60s and 70s, like that crazy stuff is going on rampantly. Particularly when you talk about the Playboy parties and everything else. There's a lot of dark stuff that goes on, particularly in the '60s and the '70s. A lot of dark stuff. However, with drugs and everything else. But that's no excuse. That's no excuse, regardless. My question is: someone is lying. Someone is not telling the truth. Out with it. To me, there is not enough evidence to put him away, but at the same time, the man is 70-some years old, and you want and I understand you want. I understand the whole. You want justice, and rightfully so, but there's some questions I feel as though that weren't answered, and this whole thing doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit right with me. So I have no. I'm not playing. I have no dog in the fight, no horse in the race.
All right. Well, let me share Matt's sentiment. Even though I am a fan of Bill Cosby, I really have no dog in the fight either, because if he did it, he did it. If he, and that's not to make light of what he did. It's just for clarification's sake. It's just me saying, don't. There's only two people, and God that know what happened at his house that night. It may be his wife, but we have no idea if she was home or not doing this, right? So, there are a lot of questions. Why did she continue to go back, and different things, and all that stuff? But ultimately, he is a celebrity. Even though he's a little bit older, with age comes wisdom, and he should know that he is Bill Cosby. He shouldn't put himself in these situations. He shouldn't be giving people drugs or anything else. For real, he should just be, shaking, doing the politician approach, shaking hands, talking to people, and that's it. You keep your presence in public very short, because Bill Cosby has different things. He probably interacts with women. He probably does a lot of things. As my dad pointed out, my dad told me that Jim Brown had said a while ago that the great Jim Brown, elder Jim Brown, had said that Bill Cosby had been doing weird stuff for years in a recent radio interview. So, and then this stuff comes out, a year to 2 years later, that the great Jim Brown did this interview. Now, there's not a lot of famous black people, especially famous black people on the level of Bill Cosby and Jim Brown. And I'm going to take Jim Brown's word for it, because he runs in them circles more than I ever will, and everything else. Now, Bill Cosby had a mistrial, but the large reason for that mistrial was there was no physical evidence, no evidence to no DNA, no nothing. So it's basically a he said, she said. And, the people decided that, maybe there was too much inconsistencies with her story, and that they believe Bill Cosby and whatever else with that. But, it's a shame that, these women had to relive their experience. It's a shame that Bill Cosby has had his name drugged out like this, and he'll never be the same again. Now that to people, they'll probably divide amongst color lines. Half the people think he's guilty, half the people don't. They think he was vindicated, and most likely there will be a retrial, even though it was an expensive endeavor, and Bill Cosby has no shortage of money. But and it's a shame, because the bigger story here is the domestic abuse, and how many people, famous or not, how many women go through this. But now it's a who do you believe more, and it's a shame that is how this is right now, because this is a big issue. I'm sure there are plenty of women who have gone through this, been drugged and been raped, and different things have happened to them because they were drugged and everything else. And it's unfortunate that Bill Cosby. And one of the things that I will knock him for is he's going on a tour and telling people how to avoid young boys how to avoid sexual assault. One thing that I think he should do is go around and just go lend some money, donate some money to domestic violence and domestic abuse. Do some stuff that puts you in a more positive light. Now that's bad because you're Bill Cosby and you're giving people advice about how to get away from being accused of domestic abuse or sexual assault or anything else. And that looks bad because you just got off of a sexual assault, basically because the jury decided that they believed you more than they believed the woman, and I just think that's a bad look. But that's just me personally, right? And like Matt said, it's a shame. It's a very tricky situation, and if they do decide to retrial him, they will retry him. But as of right now, Bill Cosby should just live his life. Use what happened to him and work it out for good, and then just try to live a good life. He's 79. If they would have sent him to jail, he probably would have ended up like Joe Paterno, who didn't really spend the day in jail. He wound up dying. Unfortunately, that's probably what would have happened to Bill Cosby. He probably would have passed away from what more than likely. I think Joe Pa died of a broken heart. Probably would have been the same thing for Bill Cosby. And again, that's not to make light of these situations. That's just telling you the truth and the facts of everything. So, it was a he said, she said, and unfortunately, bigger issues were lost in the Bill Cosby versus 50 accusers thing. And hopefully, we can do something to combat sexual assault, no matter where it happens. And I thank everyone for listening. Thank you all for rocking out with us a day earlier than usual. As I've said, we have a youth retreat at our church, and a couple of us are going up there for the weekend. So this had to happen, or it would have been just a 2-person podcast. And those are fun, but it works better when there's 4 to 5 of us. So it's great to have a full cast in here. I thank Trey, I thank Amina, thank CT3. Thank Matt for coming out, and thank you all for tuning in or watching later. Really appreciate it. Have a good and safe weekend. Enjoy the first weekend of the summer season. Deuces.